Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Superkickin with Steven and Greg. We're going to add that tagline from now on and kind of rebrand ourselves. But we're here back after a couple weeks of inaction, but we're here. Lots to talk about, lots of WrestleMania news, a couple inductees. So, Greg, first off, welcome back. How have you been doing? And then we'll get right into the news of the week.
Oh man, it's been a crazy 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks ago, took off to Thailand for my birthday vacation,
Yep.
and had an adventure getting back. Had to go to Australia before I could get back to the United States, but that's what you go through when work for an airline, and you're bouncing around from carrier to carrier trying to get back, and seats are full.
Yeah.
But it was definitely worth it. Had a great time in Thailand. It was super cool. Seeing different cultures and how they live, and of course, can't beat the shopping out there, and it's just a fun time. Australia, I only got to see it for about 3 hours, but I could count that off the checklist of going to every continent, and came back and right away moved to Charleston, South Carolina, which this is the new casa.
There you go.
And relocated to Charleston, moved into a townhouse, and now permanently a South Carolinian, and all the moving, all the shifting of addresses and all that is finally out of the way, and finally getting rooted in after a week of chaos, getting all the moving and stuff done, and unpacking, and boxes everywhere.
Yep.
So, nobody ever wants to move, but hopefully this is our, location for a while, because moving sucks. But, we're here, we're ready to go, and just been a crazy, crazy 2 weeks. But, now we're good to go. And I've still got to catch up on all the wrestling that I've missed while I was in Thailand, and while I didn't see anything. I have YouTube TV, but YouTube TV doesn't work in Asia, or they don't allow it or whatever, so I couldn't watch any wrestling. So I'm about 2 weeks behind, and I had to make it like a Sophie's choice when I got back last week. So we're gonna go AEW, go WWE, and I figure I missed Revolution while I was in Thailand. So their big event for like this quarter is already done. And so I figured WrestleMania is coming up. I need to get up to speed on WWE. So I binged all the WWE content I missed while I was gone, and just now getting started to get caught up on the AEW. So I'm still 2 weeks behind on AEW, but
We'll make it work.
I'll get there. And
Yep.
I missed Revolution. I'm really bummed about that, but hopefully there's be some place we can watch the replay for free, because I'm not paying $70 for it.
Yeah.
And because some of those matches on that card, I'm really dying to see how they played out. I know I'm going to see the recaps on the next Dynamite I watched. I caught up on one. I was 3 behind on Dynamites and Rampages, and caught up on the first week, the week that I left, before I left. And now it's the post-Revolution shows. But I still want to see that Iron Man match. I still want to see the death match, and how I'll see it all the winners, but how the matches actually went. How because Revolution, all the all ins, the all outs, they all end up being 5 stars, like down the board. You tell me, was it that good?
Yeah. It was worth the price. The death match was probably a little bit better than the Iron Man matches. You know how those go; they can be a little slow in the middle. I mean, it's 60 minutes. That's hard to, especially when you think back to the WrestleMania one, like with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, like that had a lot of downtime. So usually the last 20 or so minutes start to pick up. So, and of course, I went into overtime because I don't think there's been any that haven't, other than like the Brock and what it was, an angle 30-minute one on SmackDown where Brock was up by 2, and then he just won. I think that was one of the few that ended in the time frame. So I'll be honest, Greg, I've slept since then and watched a lot of other wrestlings. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I know we were out last week just for things, and we're building towards AEW's Double or Nothing. As we saw Wednesday night, a pretty big cliffhanger at the end of that, with some reunion possibly teased. And then now we're on the road to WrestleMania as well, because we got a lot to talk about. And then in May, we have Backlash live from Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny hosting on May 5th, I think it is. And then we'll have, what's the other one? There's something at the end of, Kings and Queens, the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, from Saudi Arabia. And then we'll go into Money in the Bank from London. So we have 3 straight pay-per-views after WrestleMania. Our premium live events, I'll be international. So that'll be kind of cool to see, all the different, like how Backlash will be in Puerto Rico, how this King of the Ring tournament will be in Saudi Arabia. And then, of course, London will host Money in the Bank and then be back for SummerSlam in Detroit. So we got a lot of wrestling after WrestleMania, even after the talk upgrade. So, but WrestleMania is the one we'll have probably a couple shows that weekend to kind of get caught up on things, predict things, and that will take precedent over AEW stuff then. But so should we get into the big news though? So we have some news just to catch up. Let's talk about these Hall of Fame inductees, Greg. The Great Muta, obviously, international superstar. I don't think he's ever stepped foot in the WWE ring. I know he was in WCW, correct? Like way back in the day, when they were kind of doing some stuff with New Japan. So, any big thoughts on him, real quick, and then we'll get into, of course, Rey Mysterio, because we definitely have thoughts on that, right? But what about the Great Muta first being inducted? I'm guessing Ric Flair will induct him, since Ric Flair announced him. It sounds like he'll just induct him as well.
Yeah, love Muta. I watched Muta when back in the NWA, WCW days, and he was always super entertaining to watch. You believe the character. You watch him. I think he may be the first person that I've ever seen with the Mist, and it blows your mind. Like, how did he do that? And dozens of people have done it since then, but to me, he was the person who started that.
Yeah.
And because I can't remember anybody else who did before him, and it was unique. It was something that it drew you to it because you wanted to see it. And I remember watching a Nitro where he stood there, and for probably about a minute, he spit mist into the air, and each time it was a different color. And I was like, talking about mind blowing. So
who still knows how to do that?
right. And so, but his matches were awesome. I remember him having some classics with Sting and Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that he was in the ring, he was an attraction. He was a main attraction, and it's well deserved. He's a legend in Japan, and he made a huge mark in the States.
And what a way to cap off the career.
Exactly. A lot of his old school, guys who've been watching for as long as we have, know all about Muta. So I think it's well deserved.
Now, Rey Mysterio. Greg, this just feels too much storyline driven, doesn't it? Like, I'm expecting Dominic to crash Rey's Hall of Fame speech, and that gets us into their match. Are we okay with that? I mean, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, yes. But also it feels way too, I hate saying soon. I mean, you have Batista there who's got, hasn't been in there, as alive Hollywood. You have The Rock, which I still think Batista deserves it over The Rock right now, just because Batista's been away a little bit longer. But this Rey Mysterio stuff, him being first announced, obviously he'll be the headliner, Greg. But I think we smell shenanigans. And does that cheapen the Hall of Fame ceremony?
No, I mean, we could all see it coming a mile away, but in the sense of it happening before The Rock and before Batista, Ray has been wrestling longer than both of those guys probably combined.
But he's
So
still active. So that's why I'm like, it's a little weird.
and that's the rub there. I mean, he's definitely a lucha libre legend. You say lucha libre in Mexico, and everybody's going to say Rey Mysterio, and he's still probably the greatest luchador on the planet, not named Ray Phoenix. I think, like I told you before, if I could get Ray Phoenix now against Rey Mysterio, let's say 10 years ago, oh my goodness. I mean, talking about barn burners. But yeah, he is the face of Lucha Libre in America, in Mexico. So it's warranted, but the fact that they're doing it now while he's still active could mean he's ready to walk out the door, but this angle with him and Judgment Day and Dominic is way too juicy to let it slide. So, I mean, in looking at him, you can see how, on his way out the door, he wants to pass the name, put his son over on the way out. I mean, who else are you going to put over on the way out the door? Than your own son. So the storyline's way too juicy. I thought this last Raw that he would finally, cave in and give him the match. But, you walked away and it looks like it's not, but we all know something's going down, and, he crashes the ceremony and, does or says something offensive to his wife that's going to be in the crowd, or his sister, and that's going to send them over the edge, and, we're going to get the match. So we all know it's coming, but yeah, it makes sense that you let the storyline unfold, at the Hall of Fame, and, that's probably the way Ray wanted it. So, why not give it to him? He's earned it.
And the other, how about this one? So this is the rumblings. LA Knight and Stone Cold possibly doing some business at WrestleMania. We could have 2 straight manias of Stone Cold coming back.
Hey,
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm all for it. That's my guy, LA Knight. Yeah.
He's going to be involved at WrestleMania. I think they wouldn't be having him on TV if he wasn't going to be involved in some way.
And as much, he hasn't really picked up a win against anybody. He's taking the L's to Bray Wyatt, and he's taking a bunch of L's on Raw and SmackDown. But, he's still out there because, we love his character. We love his personality. And, the catchphrase is getting over already, and he's barely had time to talk. But the guy's just got it, and we're going to get to see him. And even though he's taking these L's, he's taking the L's against the guys at the top of the card. So
even a loss would do more for him.
Yeah, by losing and being in there with Stone Cold, yeah. I mean, they're not gonna have more eyes on him at any point than right there. So, I still love it that he's in the spot, even if he takes an L. Even better if he finds some way to cheat and beat him, and then he can brag about it for the rest of his life on WWE TV. So
that could be it too. I mean,
I wouldn't put it past him to find a way to get, or that Austin puts LA Knight over
somehow.
And that could launch him post WrestleMania into bigger things. So
now the other aspect, and we'll get into this on the next story item, but on SmackDown, people paused the video, Greg, and there's still the Wyatt symbol in the back of a segment with LA Knight. Any thoughts on that end? Do we finally see him succumb to the dark side?
It's possible because we both attributed him to the rabbit character in the Wyatt family. So if that's it, I'm all for it because keep him in the high profile spots and keep building his following because he is worth it. He is that good. And you're going to need actual people filling in the Wyatt Six and not just people in rabbit costumes and pig
doing
costumes.
3 different characters.
Exactly. So you're going to need those people, and who better to fill up one of those roles than my dude LA Knight. So I'm here for it.
And then speaking of Bray, so the word is, you can see this quote, Greg, where it says he's out of action due to physical issues. There's no real reason yet. We're not sure. There's been, rumblings that he walked out. That's never been verified. It doesn't sound like that's it. Lashley said he's going to fight whoever. Where do we think this is going, Greg? Some people said, has Bray be given too much creative freedom? And and then there's also the idea that whoever was riding with Bray has been fired. So there's a lot of little things here that, I don't know. We might not get Bray and Bobby Lashley. And then also you throw in the idea that Brock Lesnar turned it down, Greg. That might be saying a lot, right? So where in the world do we think we're going with all this for Bray Wyatt? And do we think that maybe the leash was a little too loose?
Well, it depends on the outcome of this thing. So I can't quite read all of it. Is it Bray Wyatt is?
Here we go.
Is physically unable? Is
that? Oh, that's my full screen. Yeah. So Bray Wyatt is reportedly. This is from March 13th. Bray Wyatt is reportedly out of action due to physical issue. Where do we go now for WrestleMania with Bobby Lashley?
Okay, so the way I can see that is that Bray Wyatt is not going to be available, but will the Fiend be available?
Yeah.
Will Uncle Howdy take his spot? So it seems way too open ended. So Lashley's still going to get a match with an incarnation of Bray Wyatt. I'll say that. Who is? I don't think it's going to be the host of the Firefly Funhouse that we're going to get, but
some sort of other incarnation.
Another persona, I think, is going to come out. It could be the cult leader, Bray Wyatt. It could be the Fiend. It could be Uncle Howdy, but there's still going to be something coming out, or it could turn to be something cinematic. And I'm not sure how they would play that out, but it could be a cinematic match. We do great cinematic matches with Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
So I think that it's going to be something like that. This happening. It's got to leave some ambiguity because that's where Bray Wyatt lives.
Keeping that he's been given too much freedom.
If he can't deliver and perform, yeah. If it turns out that this is a great swerve and it takes us down a different rabbit hole, then no. So we'll have to see what happens.
I mean, there are there are times when it feels like it's not clicking. But do you put that on Bray? Do you put that on the ride? We don't know how much freedom he's given either. So that's the hard thing. But, like you said, I think you might want to go more cinematic this time around with it. Because, we watched the Pitch Black match, Greg, and that thing was
not good.
It could have been good to watch in person, just because it's hard to see on TV at times. So, I guess we shall see, but we'll go where it is. Was there any news that caught your eyes? And then we'll get into some WWE actual in-ring action.
Not yet. I'm still catching up on everything, but we'll see. There's some rumors going around, but curious to see if that's just like fan fiction or, stuff actually going down. So
Let's take a small commercial break for Rogue Energy and then get right into our WWE action recap. Alrighty, so with WrestleMania season, we usually see a lot of stuff kind of going back and forth between shows. So at the end of this Raw episode, we'll kind of get into SmackDown as well because of what we saw there, which finally happened. But Greg, we're first kicking off Edge, Finn Balor, Hell in a Cell match, WrestleMania. Do we see the Demon? Because he did mention, I went to hell and the demons spit, or, they couldn't handle my demons. So I'm going to assume we're getting the Demon at WrestleMania.
I was thinking the same thing. Is that they pointed out the demons, and what better stage to bring the demon back than at WrestleMania. So that's what it sounds like to me, and it's going to be awesome. I think we're going to get Broody Edge, or when he came back with the Randy Orton doing the half Brood, half Rated R Superstar return. That we're going to get that, and then we get the Demon and the Demon entrance, which is going to look amazing. So yeah, I think we're definitely getting the Demon Finn for this WrestleMania.
Cell fix for this, so that's kind of fun. Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio defeated Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis. So we think Rey and Dom as a match. You have Rhea involved. You have Rhea with Charlotte Flair. You have Edge and Finn. Damian Priest, Greg, he's kind of left in the cold. Anything for him at WrestleMania, or do you think he'll just maybe be in the corner of Dominique in his match?
It makes most sense that it'll be in the corner of Dominic.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a pre-show thing that they do. I don't know if they're still going to try to do the Battle Royals.
Oh, yeah.
The Andre the Giant, they're going to continue to do that. He could end up in that and then have him ringside for Dominic's match.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I've heard different opinions on the, it sounds like they're trying to do less is more. So I'm going to assume they're not doing the multi, the over the Battle Royal matches just so you don't throw everybody out there. But I would assume he's going to be there to help Dominic win somehow against Rey. Just makes most sense there. Because I'd rather have Finn pick up a big win over Edge on his own because the Demon is undefeated, if I remember right. So, yeah. Omos and Brock.
This match.
Oh, sorry, what?
He lost to Roman Reigns.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
With the turnbuckle breaking.
Yeah, the turnbuckle. So I guess that was tough. That was a loss for the Demon. So needs to replace his, need to get back on that winning streak. So Omos and Brock had a little segment. Greg, I think we're all just watching to see when Brock suplexes Omos at WrestleMania. And I'm glad that they're saving that for then because that's when it should happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if he could do do you think he could get the F5 on Omos? It's a lot of beef.
That's going to be a feat.
That's a lot of beef.
Almost has to be 4 bills.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
And 7 something. I mean, that's
right. 7'3", 7'4". Yeah. Even for Brock, who's still a full foot shorter.
Yeah.
That's going to be a feat for him. We see him make these colossal feats of strength. Yeah, but I like this segment that shows Brock backing off and just kind of sizing him up, and I guess toss up the ring like, okay, this is what we're doing, okay, and just get a taste of what the strength is like, and it's gonna, So good segment. It's a little clunky, of course, with almost instead of a seasoned veteran in there, but it is what it is, and it just set the stage.
Reinforce the ring, as they say, for that. So, do you think that pull off the ring collapsing, Greg, if he does lift him up for the F5?
I guess not the ring collapsing, but I think an F5 like off a rope, almost tries to do something off a rope,
He
and
catch him.
Brock catches him.
A little bit, or something, yeah. Okay. The next couple matches, Cody Rhodes defeated LA Knight, Bronson Reed won. What about Austin Theory and John Cena build, Greg? It seems like Cena just torched Austin Theory, so I feel like Theory needs to win in like a squash match, right, at WrestleMania to kind of repair himself against it.
I don't know about a squash, because I don't know if I buy that, but he definitely needs to win. I mean, that's the problem with some of these matches, is that there's only one way it could go. I mean, John Cena's not going to come back for one more run with the U.S. title. So, you can see him, being the one to hand the, ruthless aggression era of Cena over to Austin Theory and kind of passing the torch to him that way. Because Austin Theory still reminds me a lot of that era of John Cena, for how cocky he is and how big on himself he is. And Cena was that way too when he was doing the Doctor of Thugonomics. So, better to, give me that rub than John Cena. So he definitely needs to win.
Yeah, I was that promo was just kind of all over the place with the week before with Cena and Theory, but we got where we need to go. So Ray did refuse another challenge of Dominic, so we already kind of talked that up. How about the bill for Seth Rollins and Logan Paul?
Just get to it, because those promos are brutal, and the less Logan Paul I see on my screen, the better. He just seems like he's not even trying. He's just, I'm Logan Paul, and no character work required here or needed or even tried for. Is he a good athlete? Yeah. Is he, on the level of, Seth Rollins? Definitely not. Anybody else, half the roster he gets in the ring with? Definitely not. But, he seems just to be happy, just showing up and, doing the thing with the Miz and trying to be, some big star, and half the audience is booing him out of the building. So the sooner he's gone, the happier I'll be. I mean, if this could be a Bad Bunny situation when he's bringing the house down, I don't think he will. But, I'm not leaving it completely out of the question, because, like I said, I hated Bad Bunny being in the match at WrestleMania, and look what he did. But
And I'll give Logan Paul credit. I mean, he came alive in that match against Roman. So he stepped it up when he needed to, but I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell what the build is here, like, because I thought I guess it's like the outsider thing, like we don't, but then you accept Bad Bunny, so it's just a weird dynamic there. But yeah, how about the build for Bianca and Asuka, Greg? Is there any build?
No. Is Asuka coming down and saving Bianca's butt every week
In some weird suit?
I know. If Asuka wins, then it was all worth it. If she comes back and loses in this new character, this new style, then why? Why are you doing this? Yeah. She is, different from, the face paint, and she's not so boisterous and over the top as she was before. But you know, this is supposed to be Asuka's alter ego. We're not seeing much of it.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just keeping it all in the wraps until WrestleMania, and then we're going to see, you know, the full range of what they've done to rebuild her. And I hope that is the case, because you know how much I love Asuka. But
On the other side of
this
things,
build has been horrible.
I do like Chelsea Green and Carmella kind of together because they kind of felt the bill. And then, of course, when one turns on the other, Greg, we'll see which direction it goes. But what do we think about, Carmella and Chelsea Green kind of being against the authority in a way, demanding so much because it feels like they would do that anyway. So I think it kind of works.
Yeah, they definitely fit. They're cut from the same cloth, and they are, if you look at the women's roster, you're like, those two seem like they would be best friends, be an obvious team. So, it definitely makes sense with their characters and what they do. I love Chelsea's, manager, requests, just go and carry it, and I want to go over your head and talk to your manager and that kind of thing. She's not getting much to work with gimmick wise, but she's making it happen. So it's fun to watch, and then she gets beat down, but she's, the over the top helps with her.
I guess we'll have to wait till her husband's free to see where she can really go.
Oh, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that day. So, and I have a new respect for Matt Cardona than I have ever had before.
Yeah.
After seeing what you did in GCW and it was doing an Impact and other organizations,
the Indie God.
I have a new respect for him that I never thought I would have. I saw him at WrestleMania Access, the one WrestleMania I went to, and I was in the shop, the makeshift shop where you buy all your merch, and he walked right next to me. And I looked at him and I blew him off. I could care less about Zack Ryder. And, I could have easily turned to him and started a conversation, asked for an autograph or a picture, nothing. I had nothing to do with that dude. I totally big time Zack Ryder. And now I would actually give him some props and, give him the time of day. But, think about it. Laughed at that last time I watched him in a match and thought back to that WrestleMania Access moment. But
I mean, I guess it would be interesting with him if he was able to do what he's doing now. Like he's not going to go like Zack Ryder. He can't go back to that. Like he has to come in as Matt Cardona. So I would be curious to see how they would use him and how he would be perceived by the WWE universe with this, new kind of gimmick about him. So it'd be interesting, I think. But you've got to imagine he's back sooner rather than later. He's carrying 5,000 belts around now, Greg. So it might be a little bit before he can lose some of them. I know he's got like the
or are they all internet champions?
They're all gimmicky belts, like the Jericho Cruise title, which is like the Oceanic Championship or whatever they called it. He's got a few that are just like okay, but So then finally, Kevin Owens battled Solo Sikoa. Solo picks up another win. Greg, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do. I mean, he could be a good Money in the Bank candidate, or at least put up a good fight in the match. But we'll talk about SmackDown where we saw Kevin Owens go, but I'm seeing big things happening for Solo, after WrestleMania through the summer. And I think he needs a good match at SummerSlam, which I don't know what will be, but I'd like to, maybe the IC title or US title.
Yeah. I think so. Solo's been a beast ever since he came up, and that's how they booked him to be the enforcer, to stay undefeated and make it work within the confines of the storyline or the bloodline gimmick. And he's been great at it. His matches have been, top notch against, Sammy, Kevin, all the big names. He's carried his weight. He's looked great, and he definitely needs a run with a solo title, and further, raise his name, raise his game, and he'll always have the cachet of being, the third Uso. So, why not? You need to build young stars, and he is definitely one of them.
Let's get into some NXT stuff. Let's get into the women's title picture, Greg. It sounds like Roxanne is dealing with some injuries. That's why they wrote her off the 1 week. It's been all Shawn Michaels' fingerprint. We have the barbershop thing. Then we had the, passing out, kind of falling down, collapsing after a match, Greg. Is somebody going to lose her smile next in NXT? Cameron Grimes? He hasn't been around lately.
Well, I think Cameron's being saved for post-WrestleMania because
that's what it looked
there's
like.
Nothing else left for him.
Latest pictures of him, he looks pretty cut now. Really? So you wonder if he's like getting his body right, kind of like Gunther. Got his stuff going right. So I would be curious to see if he's a call up right after WrestleMania. But so we had Gigi Dolan in this NXT Women's Championship match. We have Zoe Stark in there now. I thought it's going to be a ladder match if I remember right. Who are we calling to take that title in case Roxanne does need to vacate it?
Well, first, love the idea of a women's ladder match because you don't see very many of those. Mm-hmm. So it's one of the few gimmicks WWE hasn't, burned to the ground as far as overuse.
Yeah.
Who could be the next woman up? Probably Zoe. With no Nikita and the girls that are still left,
Cora?
You got a bunch of possibly
because you could have Roxanne whenever she's good come back. Gets it back.
That's true, but it still needs to go on to that point. You still need to go on one of the heel women so that it makes more sense when Roxanne does come back. Mm-hmm. And Zoe's shown she's not above, cheating or sneak attacks, things like that to get her advantage. So I think she makes the most sense right now.
So those are our first two entrants. Some of the other things we have, Gallus defeated Pretty Deadly. I was trying to see, they haven't announced anything for the tag team titles yet. Do we think we see the tag team titles defended at Stand and Deliver, Greg?
It should be. Yeah. I mean, all the titles should be on the line. So if you got a belt, you're gonna be booked, and the tag team titles are two of the most important that they have. So they definitely need to be up on the line.
And they're building up all the fire and Isla Dawn, definitely for the women's tag team titles. We also saw the breakup finally of Ivy Nidal and Tatum Paxley. So back to kind of the drawing board for Diamond Mine. See where Ivy could go there, Greg. But Alba and Isla, they're being primed as the next women's champions, aren't they?
Okay, but full disclosure, I've been off the reservation on NXT since their Charlotte pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But I'm getting back in. I've seen some a couple screenshots. I think I saw a screenshot of Tyler Bate and Dragunov standing in the ring.
Yeah, so they look like they're headed for some sort of gimmicky match. We also have Grayson Waller and Johnny Gargano to finish off their feud. Because if you remember, that was Waller who took out Gargano when he was going to, end his career type deal. So then the other thing, so far, here's what we got for Stand and Deliver. How about we just start there? We got Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, NXT title. Do you see a title change?
I'm going to say no, because I think Carmelo Hayes is going to the main roster and end up probably as part of the Hurt Business. So, I think the rumors that I've been hearing about that make the most sense with him coming and joining a faction like the Hurt Business, the new Hurt Business. So,
yeah, it feels like the loser leaves town.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you keep both those guys down there for long. So then we also have
still.
So we also have the ladder match. So far we have Gigi Dolan and Zoe Stark. I'm trying to see if it tells us. I'm guessing there'll be a couple more matches, the next couple weeks. So there's something there. We just talked about that. We talked about Gargano and Waller. Wesley. So he's been doing these weird, kind of open challenges now. It is a cool way where the 1 week it was the roster was fighting in the back to answer the challenge. And so they've been touting that a lot. But now, Shawn Michaels like, hey, we need you to defend it in an organized manner. So there's going to be a fatal 5-way. No contenders have been announced yet. So we'll see who. It says Lee will handpick his 4 opponents for his match. So he actually gets to pick the opponents for his NXT North American title match.
Interesting.
So maybe you
because nothing says organization like a 5-man match.
Yeah.
And plus,
and having your hand-picked opponents.
Right. Get to choose your own opponents. So,
so maybe Tyler Bate and JD McDonough could be in that. But I still think they probably are doing some gimmicky because you keep having the injury angle playing up as that as well. So, so stand and deliver. So like we said, as it stands right now. Oh, sorry. So we are having Fallon Henley and Kiana James defend the NXT Tag Team titles against Fire and Dawn. So yeah, I'm going to assume that's a title change right there. Because there's also been who sent the roses to Kiana James. Like everybody else knows it, but Jensen, whichever guy, is dating her. So everyone else knows like that she's been seeing somebody else. So I'm guessing that's going to fall apart soon.
Already, they just put them together and now they're breaking them up. Huh?
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much going to happen. So yeah, I'm thinking Fire and Dawn, which is actually kind of a cool name for them, right? Fire and Dawn and Fire, or Fire and Ice.
But last I saw, they were trying to get Alba Fire to join the dark side, and it sounds like it's happened. So
she's there. Yeah, she's. They've been doing little like promos, out in the woods, kind of like Coven witch type stuff. Mm-hmm. So they're winning the tag team titles. I think that's lock it. Because like we said, you also have the other end with Kiana doing some, dating behind whichever guy, I forget, I think it's Jensen, but she got roses, and Brooks is like, oh wow, you gave, who gave you those roses? She had to like stumble over her words over who gave them, Greg. So yeah. So that's NXT. Just moving to SmackDown until we get caught up.
Yeah.
Okay. SmackDown. It was the Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens show because they started the night and we thought they weren't going to get together, Greg, but then we saw it because you got to give the people what they want. We saw Kevin Owens emerge. I mean, but Jey Uso, man, Greg, I know people have been throwing it out there. Jey Uso and Roman, we might need them to go at it again and finally wrap that up at SummerSlam because, yeah. I mean, Jay, I love Sami Zayn's line where he told Jay, you're just mad because I got the shot first. Like that, that really struck the chord. And then, of course, we've said all along is it has to be Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Unfortunately, Greg, we're hearing backstage politics are playing a part. And Charlotte, Flair, and Rhea Ripley will main event night 1, which is a huge mistake.
Wow. Oh, really?
Because they've already mentioned a couple of times about the main event. So, yeah, I don't. I guess you got to open with the Usos versus Zayn and Owens, right? Because you got to give them their moment. I think. I don't think in the middle of the night would work as well. I think you want them in some big spotlight type.
Yeah, you want to be first, you want to be last. So, um, if this is what we're doing, then what better way to start the night than having um, Sammy and KO, hold up the titles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree with you. Huge mistake to put Charlotte and Rhea on last.
And I'm curious about whose politics that is, but I guess we
Yeah.
can venture to guess there, Greg. I mean, Triple H does love Charlotte, so it could just be his own call, honestly. But I always thought Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are his boys too, so yeah.
I know, and there hasn't been much time devoted to Charlotte and Rhea, so the whole pull apart angle was good.
They needed that,
but yeah, they definitely needed that because it's just been talk soup, and nobody's that gets old real quick. So giving a little physicality definitely helps. Does it make me want to see that more than KO and Sammy? No, but
it is what
Triple H gets paid a lot more to make these decisions than we do. So hopefully after night one's over, we'll see, okay, that was worth it.
Some other things. So Dominic and Rhea defeated Santos Escobar and Zelina Vega. Cool to see Zelina get some ring time. Because, she can go when she really needs to, and she can deliver on the mic. So she's a really good asset for them. But Liv Morgan, Raquel picked up a win to get in this WrestleMania showcase. I'm guessing for the tag team titles. Or no, sorry, not tag team titles. We have the triple threat, or we have the 6 women match. So we'll probably see whoever wins this be the next contenders for those tag team titles. I'm guessing Ronda and Shayna will get involved. Greg, probably. I'm trying to think what other tag teams there are because there's really not. There's really not a lot of tag teams.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I thought that's something that Triple H would have had remedied by now.
Yeah.
The
tag team titles are just still kind of there.
Yeah. There's not like really any, devoted teams that are, set up some depth so that, if we ever got Sasha and Naomi, back, that we'd have some juicy matchups waiting for them. It's one of the few things I think Triple H has failed at is reestablishing the women's division as on the tag team side.
Trying to see what this women's. All right, so it looks like. So it's just going to say, 4 elite female tag teams will collide in a fatal 4-way tag team match. That's what they're. That's where we'll get our. You almost wonder if that will be on the kickoff show or maybe kind of get in there. So Raquel and Liv are our first tag team announced there. We'll see who else gets there. Charlotte Flair, you brought that up. I mean, I like the pull apart brawl. I think we needed that. How about Xavier Woods picking up a nice little win, Greg, with the small package?
Yep. I mean, I said we do LA Knight taking up all the L's, but still getting a high profile match. So Woods needs to get a little something. In New Day has been taking some L's too. I've noticed I never saw them when they lost the tag team titles, but they came out on the. I saw a short clip of them cutting a promo on somebody. I was like, oh, they don't have the titles anymore. So saw that happen.
And now Kofi Kingston's down with ankle surgery, they said. So yeah. Xavier Woods will get some time to kind of showcase himself. if there's ever time, Greg, to get Tyler Breeze back, he could team up with Xavier Woods for a little bit.
There you go. Honorary member to New Day, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier Woods probably needs something. So, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Gunther battle down the hatches, reinforce the ring. Big beefy men slapping meat. Greg, what other immovable objects, irresistible forces? What other taglines can we add to this other than my chest will be hurting, your chest will be hurting? There's gonna be a lot of handprints left on each other after this match at WrestleMania, but I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely, probably number one contender for show stealer of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with Gunther in it is going to be amazing, and love the way Triple H is taking care of him and made his reign legitimate.
Yeah,
we're up to 280 something days, so yeah, absolutely, it's going to be a sleeper pick of the night.
I think Sheamus needs to grab it just to mark that off his checklist. Grab the IC title.
Yeah, after Clash at the Castle, this is his, his payment for that one.
Yep.
And then we have room for a trilogy.
Yeah.
So,
the
next big pay-per-view. Yeah. We can have the rematch.
And then we did say, so we're finally got what we wanted. How do you like the insertion of Cody Rhodes in here? I did like that he peeled back the curtain because not everybody knows he went to Kevin Owens and say, "Hey, who should I get in touch with?" And Kevin Owens obviously has some good contacts, Greg, in the independent wrestling world. So it was probably good that Cody Rhodes mentioned that, just because a lot of us don't know that in. But do you think it's too much to add Cody Rhodes to this?
I did at first, and then I was like, well, it had to happen some way.
Yeah.
And just having Sammy come out and make a plea to Kevin wasn't working, and have them, one come and save the day for the other wasn't working. So what was going to do it?
Yeah.
And if anybody was going to be the guy to do that, it had to be somebody with the history and the track record with them, and Cody can, we can give Cody credit for making that happen, or at least being the first wave that caused that tsunami to form, and we finally get what we want. So it's actually extra, brownie points to the fans for Cody, going into WrestleMania and his match, and is like I said, finally getting us what we want and getting Sammy and Kevin back together. So at first I didn't like it, but putting all the connecting all the dots, it made the most sense, probably.
Yeah. All right. Let's do another commercial break, kind of get into some AEW talk, maybe just kind of hit some highlights there, and then we'll wrap up the show for your Sunday and kind of let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. All right, so we'll hit up some highlights of AEW, Greg. I know you said you haven't been caught up as much. Is that what you said? Or have you been caught up on Dynamite?
Not all the way. I'm still
about
a week. I missed last week's and about half the week before. So
we'll get
still catching up. The post-Revolution AEW.
Yeah. So pretty much it opened with the re-bar mitzvah of MJF, but some people crashed the party, Greg. We had Sammy Guevara, we had Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Darby Allin. This was the segment that we needed. We need to start getting away from, some of these older guys. Let some of these younger guys start stepping up into the title picture. So if you have to pick one of those guys, Greg, who are you picking to face MJF next up? Out of Jungle Boy, out of Darby Allin, out of Sammy Guevara?
Well, I think Jungle Boy makes the most sense. I know the fans' choice is probably going to be Darby, but it's fresh, it's new. Jungle Boy has his new mission statement of getting a singles title, and he needs to repackage himself, and because we think of him as just a tag team wrestler from all those years as the Jurassic Express, and he's just now breaking away from all of that, making himself his name as a singles wrestler. So it's a match we haven't seen before, I don't think. MJF and Jungle Boy, and then you have some good promos right there, and that if choosing from those three, I love Sammy, I love Darby, but Jungle Boy is just out of intrigue because we haven't seen it yet. I think makes the most sense.
Well, I thought he mentioned in the promo, not to burst the bubble, Craig, but Jungle Boy and MJF did fight before, and I think it was Jungle Boy's first match against MJF was his first match, like on Dynamite. So, not to burst the bubble, but we both guys are obviously in different places now, so it'd be a new, because technically that was a thing. MJF brought up, I've beaten all of you guys, but then I think all of them Darby has a win over him, and I believe Sammy Guevara has a win over it at some point. So yeah, it was kind of everybody has a win over you, and maybe even Jungle Boy won in something. But anyways, so yeah, that was the whole idea that they each have a win over each other. Do you think we'll wait till double or nothing for the next contender, or do you think one of those three guys will get a title shot beforehand? Because I do wonder, like if it's Jungle Boy, do we maybe get maybe we do a Dynamite, a special edition Dynamite and make MJF defend the title type deal?
Aside from a Battle of the Belt thing, MJF's, title defense schedule has been very light. So, he's been kind of saving it for the big events. And so I don't see him doing it on a random Dynamite. If they do a Battle of the Belts thing, then yeah. But aside from that, it's probably going to be the next big double or nothing. And they have time to build it up.
In Vegas. So that'll be a busy week since we'll have the Saudi Arabia show as well that weekend, Greg. We're never lack of stuff here. So Blackpool Combat Club and Hangman Adam Page in the Dark Order. It's official. Stu Grayson is back to Dark Order, Greg, back on AEW, back with All Elite. Not really sure what happened there, why he was, maybe he thought he was going to go see other pastures. I don't think it was going to be WWE, Greg, but I think, maybe he just needs some downtime. But a heel Blackpool Combat Club. And then I'll bring up the end of the night because we saw House of Black, your guys, Greg, defeat the Elite and Jazz to retain their titles, which we kind of all saw coming. But Hangman showed up to kind of even the odds with the Elite. And we're off and running with the reunion there. But it almost makes you wonder, Greg, if the Blackpool Combat Club might need a member since Bryan Danielson said he has to go home, which some people took it as going back to ROH, doing more with that. Could they bring in a Punk attitude or something like that, Greg, to help Combat Club?
Interesting. First, like I said, I got to see Revolution. I was happy to hear that the House of Black won the Trios Championships, and BCC going only makes sense. They've been about violence and to old school wrestling for a long time, and they would, come better as heels. I think Moxley has been the heel since he arrived. Everybody just loves it, and bringing a heel so Claudio and Wheeler, yeah, sign me up for all of that. So I love that aspect. And so we have the new heel BCC and the babyface Dark Order.
Elite. No, Elite.
Or
because we're gonna have Hangman Page
who are now
back with
baby
those
faces.
guys. Yeah, the Dark Order, I think. Yeah, Greg, we think they're just gonna be there just to kind of collect paychecks and be in some matches. Be in high profile matches when they can. And then, of course, you also have Jericho Appreciation Society. Then you have the House of Black. I guess they need maybe a fourth member. I mean, we got Julia, but that's a woman member.
Yeah,
I wonder if they could use a fourth, male member to kind of even the odds there. So
I think they will. I mean,
Miro?
Tony's going real quiet with signing any new people for a while.
What about Miro?
That would be a great choice.
He's not doing anything.
And he's talked about joining the House of Black. So it would be a weird
some horses
looking in there, but right. But I'd be in for it.
I mean, but him and Brody could work. I mean, you'd have two horses there. Brody King and him would be quite intimidating, kind of working together.
I know. I just missed Miro promos. I need him back on TV for more of those promos.
Yeah.
But yeah, put him in the House of Black. As I said, they haven't made any. There's signing season has been officially over for a while, but there's guys we haven't seen like Miro for a long time that you can start slotting into places like this. We talked Shires a couple of weeks ago. He doesn't have anything to do. Just saw Lance Archer come back. He doesn't really have anything to do. So there's names that we haven't seen in a while that could use being inserted into one of these hard factions like the BC or the House of Black. So why not?
Some other little things. Your favorite gal, Taya's in AEW officially, Greg. Valkyrie. So she kind of joined the party after Jade Cargill got a big squash match for this gigantic, they're touted as a big open challenge, Greg, in Canada. And then we get this Matthews girl who I've never heard of. So Taya showed up after the party, and now it looks like she'll be the one. She's probably got to be the one to beat Jade. I think Jade definitely needs to lose soon and kind of move up. You can only do so much with the title and so much with an undefeated streak. It's time to see what else she could do.
Yeah, but they put her over, though. I mean, from the announce booth, Excalibur probably reeled off the last 20 of her ring names, but, did they really put her over as being like, oh my God, it's her?
She tried to challenge her right after the match since the match was so short. So I think that's a big. Now that would be the only thing, Greg. Do we have the usual where you kind of get the big profile match and then you get shifted down until they figure out what to do with you? So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, that is awesome. I'd love to see her get it. She's been around the world and killed it everywhere she's gone. So she would definitely be a worthy person to take it off with Jade. And I said, it's time for Jade to move up and start facing the Britt Bakers and the Sarayas of the world. So,
and then the Outcast, that is our new little women's heel group. That is including Ruby Soho, Greg. I don't know if you did catch that kind of in the recaps you've been pulling. Ruby Soho is officially with Saraya, with Tony Storm, and they still got the spray paint. They were chased off by Rio, Willow Nightingale, and Britt Baker and such. So we'll see how the Outcasts do. And Orange Cassidy is our it's no longer called the All Atlantic title. Now it's the International Championship. Not to be confused with the Intercontinental title, Greg. So, yeah. So that's it. That was Dynamite.
It goes to, territory, to small time. So the international at least sounds better.
Yeah. Yep. So. All right. Oh, here's some good FTR news. This is officially from Uncle Dax Harwood. Here's the tweet, Greg. It says, just got off the phone with Cash. We've decided what we're going to do come April. Nothing, and that's in big bold letters, is official yet. So legally can't speak on it. But in the next couple weeks, we'll let our fans know. We owe it to you all for the opportunities we have in front of us. Love y'all all. So FTR may be making some moves possibly in the near future. Should be interesting to kind of see what they do come April, I guess. Yeah. So because obviously they were back. They were back at Revolution. So after the Guns retained, they did show up. So do we see a small run with the titles? Do we just see them put over the Gun Club? I guess we'll kind of wait and see here in the next couple weeks. And April's not that far away, Greg. So we'll see in April if they have anywhere. But here's some winners.
It's right after WrestleMania. I mean,
Yep. Could they show up?
Going to go, back to the AEW, or are they going to show up on WWE?
Yeah, could be. Wherever they land, we will keep an eye on because they're one of the best damn tag teams in the world. So they've earned that right to go wherever they want. So Powerhouse Hobbs is doing things as TNT champion, Greg, after winning the title off Wardlow. We have him involved with QT Marshall, this whole QTV, which is turning into the TMZ type stuff, Greg. If you've ever watched that, where QT Marshall's like, okay, guys, what do you got for me? And they did show that they were the ones who, in fact, took out the car of Wardlow. So Wardlow's car was not officially broken into. It was kayfabe broken into. So there you go with that. And Taya won, and Daddy Magic won, and Cool Hand Ainge, and Daniel Garcia beat Brody King. So the Jazz got some big wins on Rampage, Greg, and Taya got a big win for AEW there. So that's kind of where we're at with AEW.
All right.
Any closing thoughts for that?
Work to do, and
yeah,
especially Daniel Garcia beating Brody King. Sure, there's some shenanigans there, but I'm looking forward to watching that match.
Probably to help the Jazz keep going after the trios titles as well.
Interesting. Right. Yeah. The Jazz against the House of Black.
House of Black, yep.
No, there we go. So I like it.
All right.
So two heel factions, two different
two different types of heels.
Realms of the heel factions.
Yeah.
So
see what kind of magic
warfare kind of thing. So
what kind of mind games we can get on that. So last call. So we've had a crazy March Madness. Purdue goes out with a whimper against Fairleigh Dickinson, Greg, and the second ever 16 being in one seed. Purdue's been out by double-digit seed the last 3 years, and that's a little. I don't think their coach is on any hot seat, Greg. But if you keep losing, there's got to be something there. But their coach is just so good for them. Like it's just hard to know who can get them over the hump. And you have the All-American National Player of the Year on your team, but still get beat by Fairleigh Dickinson in the 16-1 seed. So then we lost another number 1 seed yesterday in Kansas. So we already got 2 number 1s out of the way. Got some double digits. You're not. I know you don't do much with the NCAA. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, I haven't followed it very closely for a while, but March Madness is the time I like to tune in, take a look.
You just
my Wolfpack were in it, and they got bounced in the first round. But it's always good to the upsets are always happening. So that's enough to watch it, right there. So the whole anything can happen is never more prominent than in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, especially since the team, with the transfer portal, with scholarships, with NIL deals. I mean, that gap between the haves and haves not, Greg, is definitely close. Especially this season, I felt like there was really no great team showing up. It's been a while since we've seen, like Kentucky Wildcats going 34-0 and then losing the national title. Our teams win in 32, 33 games, but teams still win about 30. But yeah, so I pulled for Gonzaga. They're kind of flying under the radar. I feel like if this is that year, so we shall see with Gonzaga and Mark Few there for the last 20 years, which is kind of crazy to believe. But anything else, Greg? Your Chargers doing anything free agent wise?
No, they signed one guy. They signed Eric Kendricks, the Vikings, who's had over 100 tackles for the last 3 seasons and has been an All-Pro for the last 3 years. So that's the big signing from another team. Otherwise, they've been restructuring all their current stars. They restructured Mack and Bosa plus Keenan Allen Williams to free up a lot of cap space and hopefully go get some more guys. So that's been happening. Kevin Durant should be coming back for my Phoenix Suns not too long.
Rolled his ankle and warm up, Greg. Come on.
I know. And I was watching it because that was a televised game and they showed it and I was like, well, come on, man. I mean, I've done that in a game and was still able to go, but they 6
You weren't making millions of dollars either, though.
Legs of a pencil.
Yeah. Well, that's like the the
and he has
the
tiniest bird legs I've ever seen.
Yeah, like the phenom they're talking about, the Wanabe, who's 7'3" and 100 pounds wet, Greg, but he's still growing, which is crazy to think. Like you got to wonder, physically, will he be able to handle? Because they said they're not having him put on muscle yet because his body's still growing, which is crazy to think. But he's probably going to need some muscle on him, like when he gets to it. So we'll see how he kind of does.
Oh, he absolutely will.
Yeah, because I mean,
when he gets these breakouts, Giannis throwing their elbows into his chest. Yeah, he's definitely going to need more muscle.
Yeah, especially if you want LeBron James coming down the lane at you, Greg. That's asking for it. So. My Pacers picked up a big win over the Bucks, but then lost by 20 to the Sixers. So that's a wash. But we did have Miles Turner posterize Giannis, Greg. And, Giannis doesn't get posterized that often. So I was pretty happy to see that. I think my Pacers are just going to probably ride this out, win some, lose, probably lose a lot more, and then see where the ping pong balls drop for them. Probably sit Halliburton the rest of the season. Let him get healthy. Benedict Mathurin, our rookie, is down too. So I almost wonder if you sit him. I think he kind of hit that rookie wall, as they call it, Greg, because he's no longer, in the top rookie of the year conversation. 6 man of the year, he was even mentioned in that. Maybe just getting some, thoughts on that. But I think he kind of hit that wall, and probably good mentally to reset, get right physically, and go at it next year. Kind of see where the chips go. So, yeah, that's my Pacers. The Colts sitting in the fourth spot for the draft. We saw the big trade. The Panthers jump up. Some people are saying, do my Colts need to get to that third spot, or second, just that you have your pick. You're not sitting back and waiting to see which quarterback drops in your lap. So, yeah. Anyways,
the big four of the quarterback market, and being in the fourth spot,
you get the fourth guy.
I think the number 3 team is the Cardinals, and they don't need a quarterback. So unless they trade out, you're going to, the third or fourth, depending if you slide them, one of those top 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah. We had Derek Carr go to the Saints. Where did Jimmy G end up? I thought I saw him sign somewhere.
The Raiders.
The who? Oh, the Raiders.
Oh, he's a Raider.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And he's going to be the 4th best quarterback.
I don't want to mention the Packers guy because he's just make up your damn mind. Like, seriously. You go do this darkness retreat, and now you're not knowing what you want to do. Like, well, he said he wants to go to the Jets. I guess that was on the McAfee show. But, yeah.
He'll be a Jet. And
when you're a Jet all the way.
They'll have to pay out the nose for him.
For what? One season? You think? I mean, is he even going to last that long? How many good years does he have left on it?
Well, they're at least the Jets are young, and maybe all that energy around them will help instead of the old guys in Green Bay.
Yeah. Yep. So. All right. Well, there we go. Thanks for watching. We're on the road to WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes has already been tweeting out his new WrestleMania shirts, Greg, to pick up. I got this pretty cool, old school looking Stone Cold shirt I was rocking today. Because it was 3/16 on Thursday. We also had St. Patrick's Day. We had the Ides of March. We had Pi Day. Man, we just had a busy week this week, Greg. A lot of fun days. So catch you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And thanks for watching Superkickin with Greg and Steven. And we will be back at it next week for your viewing pleasure.